So my name is Dan Skalos and I'm an avian ecologist for PRBO Conservation Science. And we're here today in the Sacramento Valley of California on Yolo Wildlife Area, just outside the city of Sacramento. And what I do as an avian ecologist is I work with other scientists to figure out ways to protect migratory waterbirds. And migratory waterbirds are birds like shorebirds and herons and egrets and ducks and geese. And one way that we help them is we try to find ways to provide places for them to go. So we provide them places to feed and rest. And one of the ways that we do that is we create natural wetlands like this one here. In the wintertime in the Sacramento Valley, we see about 2 to 2.5 million ducks. We see about 1 million geese and hundreds of thousands of shorebirds and herons and egrets. And with all those birds, the wildlife refuges aren't big enough to actually contain them all. So we have to find ways to provide them more spaces. So one way that we do that is we work with farmers. And farmers plant crops that can provide habitat for migratory water birds. And most of the time we work with rice farmers because rice fields are just like natural wetlands. They're essentially, this is one right here. It's a very flat, very shallow pond. And with the water depth, it can accompany a number of species from large to small, long legs to short legs. And some of the species that we do see out here, like today, we see a number of sandpipers and killdeer and dowitchers, as well as things as big as herons and egrets, and we have a number of ducks back there and pelicans. So the wading bird species like shorebirds and herons and egrets, they like to walk around in these fields and find bugs and stuff that are attracted to the water and mud. And the ducks and geese actually like to get in here and eat the seeds that farmers leave after they harvest. And all this is important because with so many people and so many different cities and so many different crops to grow in California without that don't accompany waterbird species like, say, trees, we need more places to make up for these natural wetlands. And these rice fields, essentially in the summertime, when we flood them, we grow rice for people. And in the wintertime, we grow duck food or shorebird food. So this is one way that we incorporate all of this land into a multi-management approach for people and for waterbirds. So if farmers did not flood these fields here in the wintertime, a lot of these migratory shorebirds actually wouldn't be able to make their thousands of mile breeding migration back to the breeding grounds, typically in the Arctic, because they wouldn't have enough fat. Fat is the energy that they use to fly, and they wouldn't have enough fat to actually make it there. So that's why this rice provides them that habitat to forage and rest in. So because of the densities of both shorebirds and waterfowl here in the Central Valley of California, specifically the Sacramento Valley, a number of different management groups have recognized this as a very important area. The North American Waterfowl Management Plan recognized the Central Valley of California as one of the initial 11 areas back in 1984 for specific management for wintering ducks and geese. And the Western Hemisphere Shorebird Reserve Network has recognized specifically the rice lands of California as an area of critical importance, internationally speaking, for migrating shorebirds, because certain shorebird species such as western sandpipers actually migrate from the breeding grounds in Alaska through here all the way to South America and then back up again. And another thing that's going to be a problem here in the future, and we're keeping an eye on, is global climate change or global warming. So as the Earth warms, there essentially will be less water and snowpack for irrigation for crops and for flooding of natural wetlands for migratory waterbirds. And we're figuring out ways that the water can be spread between both people and birds. And this greater scheme of using rice fields is one way that scientists and farmers are working together to solve problems and provide water in a very limited water situation for both people and for birds.